ao ano vai ser também em Inglaterra, em Brighton.
I should have brought a clip for World Fantasy. Because that's what I'm saying.
I don't think you should go to World Cup, but also to World Fantasy.
Imigramos e ficamos logo à espera.
Não, se quiserem fazer um ensaio de como é que é depois uns encontros internacionais, podemos ir de forma não organizada todos a Brighton. É 31 de outubro.
Depois ainda não vi, ainda não tive tempo de ver.
Ok, então se calhar para não estarem sempre a ouvir a minha voz, deixava o Luís começar.
Pronto, agora passando a palavra ao Rogério.
They're talking about me, aren't they?
Não?
Portanto, nós tivemos a ideia de fazer um workshop.
No, probably you could speak in English,
Yeah.
because everybody understands English. Há alguém que não perceba bem inglês?
So someone hasn't understood my English. So we had the idea of setting up a workshop of writing in the fantasy and science fiction genres, and to basically myself and Rogério. The idea came first from Rogério. He invited me in, and in fact the goal is to spread the participation and an event of getting the people together and continuing the work that is usually done here at Fórum Fantástico and spread out throughout the world, throughout the year. In a sense of helping young writers or enthusiasts or anyone else who wants to learn about the tricks and ways and manners of writing in the genre. Our goal, our aim is to have a kick-off here in Fórum Fantástico, to have a couple of sessions in the next couple of days with different authors. Tomorrow is going to be Bruno Martins Soares and João Barreiros, alongside with and Madalena, alongside with Rogério and us, talking about their experience. I mean, approaching the subject in an initial form, getting your feedback. In Sunday it will be Madalena, Tanuels, and
Sunday
myself.
will be Manu Freitas, Daniels, and yourself.
I think you should have spoken first. I'm not reading my notes. Essentially, we would like you to come to both sessions. We would like you to learn about the initiative. We would like to get your input so that we can improve this workshop. It's going to be the first time we are going to do this. It's going to have a lot of mistakes and things that we can improve upon. The way we are going to do this is that we're going to talk with you, with anyone who's interested. We need to have a limited number of the people attending, so expect an interview at least. And the final set of people that gets to be picked up will follow us through the next 8 months, once a month, one Saturday here, right? We still don't know yet which Saturday it's going to be, so we'll set up
By the end of Fórum Fantástico, we will be able to tell you the dates. So the idea is to get everybody that's picked up, and don't take the structure of the workshop within Fórum Fantástico as the way it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
It will be a real workshop, not just talk. So our idea is to then, people during a month will write, especially short stories, of course, or chapters of a book, and people will exchange the short stories or the chapters with us. We'll read them, and other people will cross-read everybody else's work. And once a month we will join here, and on a Saturday we will criticize everybody's texts. We'll try to help, and everybody will do it among ourselves to make the short stories or the chapters better. We're also going to have, that's the point of contact with what happens in Fórum Fantástico, we'll have professional writers or editors just coming to speak of a specific topic. And you've seen on our blog, we already put the topics with which we made the structure of the workshop. So we're going to address those topics, and they go from writing either characterization or point of view or world building, or to the other side, to where to send your work, how to send your work. So it's a broad workshop, and it's not like in Fórum Fantástico, we can't stress that enough. It's not just talk, it's a hands-on. So people will be writing. If you're just thinking about coming and talking about what you're going to write, forget it. You'll have to write it. So...
will it just be in English or in Portuguese, or are we allowed to write in English as well?
Well, you should, I think, we haven't discussed this because I think we thought to do it in Portuguese. But I think if it's your native language, you should learn first to write well in your own language and then think about, because doing it in English, it will be an added problem. So we're going to do it just in Portuguese. We haven't talked about this because I think we share the same idea, but we will...
Yeah, I can input my opinion on this. You do have a lot of rules and a lot of ways to approach writing that are not specific to the language. However, one of the goals is to help improve and spread the word about Portuguese literature in the genre. And for that, you need to set up common terms. You need to set up a language about it. So, of course, you can come and learn, and you can write. I don't think anyone's gonna shun you away from this. But our main goal is to help writers improve their writing in our language using the tools that the language has available to help them to do so.
And just think that if you're not a native writer of English, it's easier to write a good short story in Portuguese and then have a professional translator translating it and becoming a good short story in English than the time that you take to really write a good story in English.
My advice would be to come to our workshop, to write in Portuguese, and then to go to an international workshop and apply your knowledge there. And then come back and tell us how they work. Really important to know. So essentially it's this. Consider the next few days motivational speeches. So it's the demo mode. Everything's going to be okay the next couple of days, and then the hard work begins.
So if you already have something written, of course, you should submit as a sample, for example, and then, as Luis was saying, we're going to have a conversation, knowing your goals and what you're thinking, what you want to write, what's your objective, and then we'll select not more than 12 people, and we'll begin shortly, once a month.
Yeah, who are we looking for? We are looking what kind of profile we are looking for. We're looking for someone who has already written something. We're looking for someone who reads, who has some knowledge of the genre and can contribute to the workshop. So basically, anyone who has something already written or intends to would be most welcome.
And before anyone asks about this, it's called Trema because it's within the Trema project, but you're not writing to be published in the Trema magazine. So eventually you'll be able to submit your texts wherever you want. So it's not a way of getting people to write for the magazine. So the project is wider than that. Luis has done, and I think it's the first time I have the chance to congratulate him for the work he has done on the Trema blog. As you'll see tomorrow, I was more hands-on on the Trema magazine, and this idea of the workshop was, of course, if you want to submit to Trema, I'm fine with that. But the idea was to help people improve their writing, and then as you are going to see, we'll talk about all the outlets where you can submit your work, either Bank, Trema, everywhere.
But our main concern, and first, because sometimes it seems that people are too much in a hurry to publish themselves, is to learn how to do things right. That's the main goal of the workshop, because you can submit anywhere, and if you pay, you get published by someone. But the goal is to make you as good as editors will be knocking on your door, asking to read your stuff, and that's our goal. Of course, we're gonna need your input. We're gonna need you guys to apply, to write,
and expect to be criticized. So please wear your strong skin, because of course, if someone shows that you can take criticism, well, I think that's not a workshop of this kind is not the appropriate place to be. So we're going to be honest. Sometimes we're going to be blunt, or many times, but you can count on it being always our honest opinion. So, does anyone have other questions? You'll see how the talks go, and you will be able to. You can come to us anytime with any doubts. So then we took a bag of gold and contracted Dan Wells to come open our our workshop, and the idea or the suggestion was to talk that we made, and you are free not to take that into consideration, but the idea that we gave, since in Portugal, well, you can't expect to be, at least for now, a professional writer within the fantastic literature field. So everybody has a second or a main job, other stuff that they do to earn a living. So the idea was just to ask him, and I can start with a question. How can we be disciplined, or how can we continue to write and still have other jobs? Some of us even have 5 kids, so like that. So how do we manage? And you can start with your own experience.
Okay. Well, first of all, before I say anything about writing, do you guys even know who I am? Why you should even care why I'm telling you about writing? I see a lot of shaking heads. My name is Dan Wells. I am very excited to be here. This is my first time in Portugal. I am a writer. I currently live in Germany, but I'm originally from United States. And I've got several published horror novels, supernatural thriller novels. Just started a new science fiction series. Also, those of you who are interested in writing, how many of you are writers or want to be writers? Okay. How many of you just hate raising your hands? There we go. I also want to mention, I do a podcast with a few other writers called Writing Excuses. And anyone who is interested about that can ask me or these guys. And that's just, it's once a week, 15 minutes, designed for aspiring writers. Has a lot of specific advice, a lot of the things that they said they're going to be talking about in this workshop, which sounds wonderful. And it's totally free. I'm not trying to get you to buy anything from me. Don't worry about that.
You could tell who the other people are.
Oh yeah, the other people on the podcast. There's me, who writes horror. Howard Taylor, who does a science fiction webcomic. Brandon Sanderson, who's certainly the most famous of the four of us. He does a lot of fantasy. He's the guy finishing Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series. Fairly big name in fantasy. And then Mary Robinette Kowal, who also does fantasy, specifically kind of Jane Austen Regency fantasy. So there's a nice spread of topics and genres that we do. Anyway, now that you kind of know who I am, not that it matters who I am, but at least now you know why I'm talking. I do want to talk about discipline and how to write and how to juggle writing with something else, because by far, people will always ask me, what's the most important thing? What's the most important skill you have as a writer? Is it dialogue or is it outlining? No, it is discipline. It is, because as a writer, you don't have a boss. There is nobody who comes knocking on your door saying, all right, where's the next book? And until the point where you're under contract, at which point then they start bugging you. But getting to that point, you are on your own. If you work, then work will get done. And if you don't work, nothing gets done, because it's all you. The thing you need to remember, anytime you have what's the best way to phrase this? Having enough time for something is not an issue of time, it is an issue of priorities. It is an issue of your values. And so if you say, I don't have enough time to write, what you really mean is, I would rather do other things. Now, it's entirely possible that the other things you're choosing are important. Maybe you do have to work 20 hours a day or whatever it is in order to feed your family. And I went through long years of that, where the only time I had to write was at night. I have been blessed with an inability to sleep since high school. And so I wrote all of my early novels. It took me 6 novels before I finally got any of them published. And those first 6 novels were all written, 10 at night until about 2 in the morning. And that's the time I had. And I had to make that choice. What do I value more? Writing or sleeping? And then during other times of the day, is it more important for me right now to watch TV or to write? And if you choose TV, then that's fine. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just letting you know that that's the choice you're making. You have to always be thinking, which is more important to me? Do I really want to do this? Am I really willing to give it the time that it takes? And I can tell you 2 things. First of all, it's harder than it sounds. But second of all, the rewards are much bigger than you think they are. Getting published, becoming a writer, it has been a lifelong dream for me. And I am so glad that I put in all that work and lost all of that sleep, because the payoff is great. Not necessarily money. There's not a lot of money in writing, but it's, the thrill of creating something, of being able to see your name in a book or in a bookstore or whatever it is that your goal is. It's worth it, but it takes a lot of work. So that's what I wanted to say. You can do it. And that's all I got. Yeah, unless you want something else, I can keep talking for hours, but they're probably sick of me.
I don't know if anyone has a specific question.
Yes, ask us questions.
Also about discipline, can you work at home or you need a special space where you are alone and without distractions?
Whatever works best for you. I worked at home for a long time, but I have 5 children. And that makes the home working environment very difficult if they're awake. So I have right now an office that I can lock, and that works. I have a 4-year-old who knows that I'm there, and so he'll just bang on the door. He's like, "Dad, I know you're hiding in there." And so if it becomes, if that doesn't work, then that doesn't work, and you need to find something else. I have written in libraries. I wrote one of my books entirely in a library because it just wasn't possible to work at home. That office door didn't lock in that house. So whatever it is that works for you, that's what you need to do. Today I do all of my writing. I have an iPad and a little keyboard, and so I just, wherever I am, if I have a few minutes, I can sit down and write something. So that's what works for me. More questions?
Well, they'll have other chances too.
No, now's your only chance.
So we won't bore you too much with this. You'll see during Fórum Fantástico how it's going to work, and we'll be available to other questions. And then we'll also be talking twice, once in the workshop and the other time at the launch of his second book of Mr. Monster. So I think we'll just go for a recess just to calm things down, since we're so well. It's the first time we're ahead of schedule in Fórum Fantástico. So at 5:30 we'll come back and start with a fantastic illustration. So thank you.